Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up America. You're taking a live look at Maidan Square in Kiev, Ukraine. This is the seat of democracy in the capital of a country of about 40 million people. The presidential compound is to the left of that large golden statue in the center of your screen. As far as we know, President Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, is still in Kiev. But we have also seen our very first images of Russian helicopters flying over the capital. It did not take long. Vladimir Putin began this invasion hours ago, and there are already Russian helicopters over the capital there. Thousands have abandoned the city. Many people are riding out what has been missiles, targeted missiles overnight and into the morning. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon there, but many people are now in the subway system. Below ground.
They are, and if they're not there, you can see that's a picture of people in their cars in gridlock traffic trying to get out. Also, they're being told not to take photos with their phone because they are afraid that obviously Russian forces will be able to locate them. Communication lines are not the best right now. So there's a lot of issues, people just trying to put gas in their cars, get their kids, and hope to get money out of the ATM and then get out of there as fast as they can.
You think about we keep hearing could be the biggest war in Europe, the biggest invasion since World War II, since 1945, the end of the Second World War. And you hear yesterday that people are going down to the subways. Well, that reminds me of what happened in Great Britain during the air raids over London. People would go down into the tube. That's what they call the subway there. And they would try and ride it out. And the resilience was amazing of the British people. And we'll see if that plays out in Ukraine. But we're hearing that they are ready to stand and fight for their country. Just an unbelievable situation. We're continuing to follow it. We want to welcome in New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, who was with us. It's still the morning of February 24th, Congresswoman. And you were with us several hours ago overnight. Thanks so much for being back with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Congressman. I want to get your take on, first of all, what do you make of this? And what are you expecting to hear from President Biden this afternoon?
Well, I wish he would be speaking sooner. He should have been speaking to the nation and the world last night.
Right.
He's the commander-in-chief and the leader of the free world who should be sending out a very strong statement and crippling sanctions against Putin at every angle we can, diplomatically, economically, to stop and hopefully to prevent this invasion. But it didn't happen. It was too little too late. And as you pointed out rightly, Rob, this was not some special military operation. This is the invasion of a sovereign country, an innocent country, unprovoked, where people are being killed and people are being disrupted. And we have, I don't have verified reports, but I'm seeing on Twitter that news agencies are reporting that numerous people in the Ukrainian military have been killed by this operation. So this is a full-scale war against a country in Europe. And yes, it is the largest military operation that we've seen, an invasion since World War II on the European continent.
Yeah, I've gotten information as well about that. About a kill list is what it's being called. A kill list with members of the Ukrainian parliament. President Zelensky is on that, along with members of the Ukrainian media and, of course, members of the Ukrainian army. That's how seriously Russia is taking this. Question for you, again, President Biden, I don't know where he is. I don't know why he's not on the air right now, preempting us here with a national address, letting the American people what's going on. Was this preventable?
Well, that's a good question. I think had we acted early, months and months ago, we knew that Putin was amassing troops on the border, and we did nothing. There were options. We could have put destroyers, for example, in the Black Sea to cut off the amphibious action that we're seeing that Putin is using. Remember, he's using cyber, he's using land, sea, and air to take over this country, just against international law. And remember, last night, Russia presided over a special emergency meeting of the UN Security Council, where they're the president of an organization. It's almost like it's looking like a Kiwanis Club right now, or the Better Business Bureau, the UN. I mean, this is absurd. I mean, it's tragic. We spend billions of dollars on an organization that gives a dictator and a murderous dictator now, like Vladimir Putin, international credibility on our soil to preside over this. While as he was invading Ukraine, the Ukrainian members of the UN were pleading with Putin not to do this and to not move into this country. And we sat there and allowed this to happen. Mm-hmm. It's just showing why the U.S. Taxpayers and why many Americans have no faith in the UN and why it's time maybe for the UN order to be disrupted. I've called for the UN to remove Russia as a permanent member. I know this is tough, but maybe we just need to dismantle this entire apparatus at the UN and start over with a legitimate international rules-based order that Putin is clearly violating.
You would go that far? You would take Russia off the UN, take away their seat?
How could we allow Russia to preside as president of the UN Permanent Security Council? How can we do that? Yeah. Well, they're invading a sovereign territory in the continent of Europe. I mean, this is just unprecedented and unacceptable. When the purpose of the permanent mission or the Permanent UN Security Council is to provide world peace, world security, and yet they're invading another country and they're killing people in this country, innocent civilians. This just shows that the UN, again, I can't say, it's like the Better Business Bureau. Maybe the Better Business Bureau is more effective. You have a bunch of bureaucrats who are spending billions of dollars. We have the Ayatollahs, we have China and other adversaries of the United States able to come on our soil with diplomatic status and take actions against some of our greatest allies in the Middle East, like Israel and others. This is just unacceptable at this point, and we need to use every tool in our chest. I'm just not sure where we go now. It's too little, too late. It's a very difficult step because let me tell you something. What's happening now? There was just a report that Beijing is claiming our Taiwan is not Ukraine. Taiwan has always been part of China, so they're already talking about moving into Taiwan. This is a template for dictators around the world to go in and exert their power and take land while we sit. And President Biden, God knows what he's doing, but he's sleeping or he's not out there messaging to the world that we are going to stand up to the bullies around the world.
No, it's very, very sad. I think you're right. And I think that, we should have seen President Biden early on this morning. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.